Hello and welcome to Open Dialogue. Noel T the second here, and I want to chat with you about a new series you can find on Roku. It's called Swimming with the Sharks. If you got a chance to check out a 1994 film of the same name, you'll get a sense of what this story is about. It focuses on Hollywood, the industry, some people trying to rise up through the ranks, and power, the thirst for power, and also the thirst to hold on to it. So it's not just about rising to the ranks, but it's holding on to the ranks. Some differences here because you have women in power. I love what we're seeing within this series so far. Kathleen Robertson is the showrunner. She also has some talent in this. Diane Kruger and Kiernan Shipka also in this series. And we're getting a chance to chat with them right here on Open Dialogue.
What you think means nothing.
What you feel means nothing.
You are nothing. You're an intern.
First day?
Is that obvious?
I'm gonna need you to, sorry.
Hi, Kathleen. I'm Noel Manning for Open Dialogue. I hope you're doing well today.
Hi, how are you?
Marvelous. So good to see you. Really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. This is pretty amazing. Remember the film from 1994, and your role in this, you got several. I know you're a showrunner. You also have your talent in this as well. I'd love for you to talk about that original source material and what was essential for you to keep from that, and what was it you wanted to make sure you changed?
Well, for me, it was really, of course I had seen the film. I think for everybody in the entertainment industry, that movie was so iconic and, was such a part of sort of the identity of kind of coming up in the industry. So I really wanted to sort of obviously embrace like what the film sort of represented, but I of course wanted to subvert it and have it be told from a female perspective, just given that that's been my experience. And I started acting when I was 10, and I've been in this industry my entire life. And so I think, a lot has changed, of course, but a lot has weirdly stayed the same. And I really wanted to kind of unpack a lot of the stories I've heard and the things that I've witnessed. And it just felt like an area that I felt like I had something to say. And so.
Well, I love the movie, but I also really love what we've seen with these 30-minute episodes. And when you're able to do something from an episodic standpoint based on previous material that was a feature film, where do you feel that you get the most benefit doing it this way?
Well, I think that, it's funny, like I would have loved like an additional hour or two, like if anything, I felt like I was a little like, it was like I was trying to say so much, but I think, in these 6 episodes, there's not a lot of fat. There's not a lot of excess. It's very much like, it feels like you start the show and it almost feels like a freight train leaving the station, and you're just like, you're on, and it's like, it goes, which is what I really wanted it to feel like and move like. And I think that, we succeeded in that. Like it's definitely not a show that I don't think anybody could watch and say, I'm bored, It's just like, it goes for it. And we really go for it and go for it hard. So I'm proud of it.
Yes, it's very binge worthy, and you could do it in one sitting if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
and I love the way that it feeds into the next episode with that in mind.
Yeah.
But it also allows, you can watch it during a lunch hour and come back and watch it later as well. So I think it works in both ways, which is a challenge to do at times, but this has done it so well. You mentioned earlier your connection to the industry for so much of your life. What do you think that resonates the most as a reflection for today's Hollywood industry that is in this series?
Well, I think we're at a really weird time right now. I mean, when I wrote this, it was kind of like right when Harvey Weinstein was being outed and Scott Rudin was being, I mean, it was definitely during this period where it just felt like everything was kind of getting blown up. And I think if I want to be positive, I mean, I think the positives are that it's a much better time now in 2022 to be in the industry than it ever has been.
Wow.
If you go back and read stories about old Hollywood in the 20s and, it's always been a world that's been dark and complicated and really, 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 really difficult. And everybody wants to be in this world and still does. And it's a world that it's very hard to sort of get in. And once you're in, but it doesn't guarantee you get to stay in. And so I think that I wanted to explore a little bit too, the difference between these two women. Kiernan Shipka's character is brand new to the world. She's 21, just starting out. And then this other woman who is more of a generation that she's had to kind of claw and build an identity being the only woman in the room. And she's, kind of a rarity. She's one of the only female CEOs in town, which is still the way it is in Hollywood. I mean, there's very few female executives. And so I really wanted to sort of look at like that too, like the difference between like what it is to be starting out versus like grown up in it and how, it's really changed for the better, I think.
Well, Kathleen, thanks so much for your time. And as a former college intern for 20th Century Fox, I had a few flashbacks. And so
I'm sure.
So,
Yep.
So thank you so much for bringing us this in a new and fresh way. You have really got something here. So thank you so much.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm glad you liked it.
Great seeing you. Bye.
This is intoxicating.
I just want to do something beyond dog walking and lunch orders.
He was so much more than an assistant. Our hearts go out to his family during this difficult time.
She pushed him too far. His death is on her.
Wonderful. Hi, I'm Noel T. Manning II for Open Dialogue. Diane, Kiernan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you both and really appreciate you taking the time to chat about this show. First question, I want to send this to Diane. There's such a strong presence of women as leaders in leadership roles. And I'd love for you to speak on the importance of that and especially how it shows through your character.
Yes. Look, I think what drew me to the part is that, as women, we've tried for so long and it's taken us such a long time to finally have these positions, right? Be in positions of power. And we still have to deal with all the other stuff that's going on in a woman's life, family, children, cheating husbands. So the complexity of that, is really what drew me to the character. And like I said, she's an outrageous boss, and it's really fun to play outrageous.
Well, Kiernan, there is definitely a lure to power, and you see that with your character. Reflect on the word power as it relates to this role.
Power is a very enticing thing. You're totally spot on with that. And I think that for someone like Lou, most of her life, she's probably felt not in control and powerless. So the idea of power is probably even maybe more enticing than someone who had a stable upbringing and knows that there's more to life than power. I think that at the end of the day, what Lou probably really wants is to be seen and loved and heard. But oftentimes, power is an easier thing to chase than that, and a less vulnerable thing to chase. So I think that her intentions sort of just lie in being a messy person and not really having it all together when it comes to priorities. But there's a time and place for desiring power and those sorts of things. But I think that it oftentimes is just sort of something to replace the real hard things to address in life.
I think you nailed it, that there you try to find this balance within the messiness of life. And I think we all experience that to some extent, especially in the industry. And Diane, as you reflect on your personal experiences within the industry, how does that mirror what you've seen within the industry yourself and your character?
I mean, you know, it's evolved. Like when I started out 15 years ago, I think there were mostly men in these positions, right? And there was definitely that boys' club feel that was going around in Hollywood, and a lot of bad behavior that everybody just accepted and felt like was validated. You know, like I said, I'm on the other spectrum. I don't work for a studio boss, so the few encounters that I've had with people in those positions range from being very pleasant to slightly uncomfortable to really uncomfortable, you know. But you know, things have definitely changed, and I think even in Hollywood, you know, people are more aware of what's acceptable and what's not.
Well, Kiernan and Diane, thank you so much for talking about swimming with sharks. Really appreciate it. I hope a lot of people get a chance to check this out and embrace what it is that you are hoping to share. Maybe some things we will or won't embrace, but I do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Looks like somebody got a promotion.
Thank you so much for joining us right here on Open Dialogue, and I appreciate Swimming with the Sharks showrunner Kathleen Robertson for joining us, along with Diane Kruger and Kiernan Shipka, who also star in this series. You can find it on Roku, and it's really worth your time, especially if you have an appreciation and a love for Hollywood and want to get a chance to look at some behind the scenes of what may be happening in this world of entertainment. Till next time, I'm Noel T. Manning II for Open Dialogue, and that's a wrap.
When I first moved here, as I looked into the Hollywood night, there must be thousands of girls sitting alone just like me, dreaming, but I'm not gonna worry about them. Because I'm dreaming the hardest.
Because I'm dreaming the hardest.